Maria is an international sales and marketing specialist at the Corcoran Group in New York City, and she's also the founder and CEO of Hive Property Management, which they manage 137 properties for 86 clients. And I'm really, really excited today. I'm hoping to ask her a few questions about her story, about her career, and learn a bit about her almost 20 years of experience as a real estate entrepreneur in the luxury segment. So please, warm welcome for Maria.
Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to start with a good quote that inspires me, and it's not Albert Einstein or anyone like that, but it resonates with me, and I hope that it resonates with you too. And it's, don't let anyone tell you that you cannot do something. Do we know who said that?
I'm going to go out on a limb here, but was it Serena Williams?
No clue?
Malala?
Okay, one more time.
My mother? My grandmother's mother.
Bad Bunny, come on. What happened?
My mother.
I had to break the ice, guys. It's not, I'm not talking about stories, which I deeply respect and I love. But I'm here to introduce myself, to tell you a little bit of what I do. Certainly, I do live by that, and I am very stubborn, let's say like that, with that, and trying to make a lot of things that I've been said no many times. I am from Cali, Colombia, and I've been in New York for almost 19 years. I went to culinary school, and my primary focus was hospitality, and I thought I was going to be a chef. And I started in Miami, in Johnson Wells, and then I did hospitality management at FIU, and I was deeply interested in the food industry, and started my career in the restaurant industry. Then I went to Bogota, and I started being the GM of a restaurant. Then I came back to the US, and my mother was in real estate, and I wanted to live in New York because I wanted to eat in New York. But I needed a way to pay what I was eating in New York. And that's when everything started to come together. Mom was in real estate. I started in real estate very young in New York City, working for developers and representing clients. And I was very, I was not clear if that was going to be my final career path, because real estate was something that was not seen as a career, maybe. So I wanted to add something else to the whole scenario, and I started dealing with a lot of international clients, understanding needs and opportunities that required more of a cultural knowledge and experience that came through me, which from where I was born, and looking at things from the perspective that people that were arriving to New York, looking at and having the same stupid questions that everybody had, that were coming from very different places. So I started in real estate. I saw a need for a connection between the client and the asset, which is not only like showing apartments, renting apartments. That's the easy part. It's fun, decorating, you know. The real work starts when you understand and listen to your client's needs. It's not like just showing or getting an apartment. It's a matchmaking with the person, the property, their endgame, their whole lifestyle. Because what they think they want is more likely what they cannot get, what they don't need, and they don't understand everything that can bring them the best possible outcome. So when all that happened and I started getting clients, I was very young, clients from all the time, and they were telling me, listen, I will buy the apartment, I'll do this, but I don't want to deal with the light bulb getting, exploded at the end of in the middle of the night, or having a leak. So very young, I started saying, I will do it. I will take care of that. And that started growing and growing into what today is Hive, a property management and lifestyle company that not only serves the international clientele, but accompanies local and international investors and clients to help them connect with their lifestyle needs, their property needs, making sure that they're planning with the purpose of owning the asset entirely, or maybe managing it or selling it later, or leaving it to their kids. All of that comes into the play, and to a planning that is very connected with a lot of other factors that we don't really take into account, like what's the story? Listening to your clients, what are they looking for, what are their timing, what are the resources, and how can I help them out to connect and to enhance and maximize their investment. That's on Hive, and that's the main and the most important after sale that you have that nobody tells you when you buy or when you rent or when you inherit a piece of real estate in New York or anywhere in the US.
Yes, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Now going into, what are you doing in the day-to-day at Corcoran? You've overseen more than $1 billion in closed transactions, and you're ranking among the top 1% of agents nationwide. So what's your day-to-day there? How does Hive play into it? How do you deal with both sides of the story?
Well, it's a very active and interesting day-to-day. I have 2 kids, so I start very early running to get them to school. And I start my day, never end my day, basically, because my clients are all over the world, so I will get messages at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., and I will prioritize their needs in the morning when after dropping my kids to school at 8:30 a.m. So I have a lot of calling and managing relationships and listening. The main part is listening. When you listen and you really listen to your client and understand their needs, you're winning, and you're really understanding they are watching you. They're watching that you're not only trying to sell them. You're trying to understand what they need, what they're telling you between the financial parts and their lifestyle and their dreams. And you have to give it an interpretation that will help them feel good with everything that they don't know and they think they know. So a lot of client management, a lot of conversations, a lot of connection with financial tools that can help them understand better the process and accompanying them. Everything it's not familiar for them. So I am the only thing that is familiar for them, which is speaking their language, understanding and comparing to where they move and they were originally from. So after having a call with my team at Hive before noon to prioritize, again, repairs, anything that comes along with the property, because selling real estate or representing clients is not only showing beautiful properties or, it's a lot behind the scenes, not what you see in $1 million listing, no. There's a lot more of connecting with the client, because at the end of the day, you are dealing with home. Very personal in everybody's life and essential. Most of my afternoons are showing properties, a lot of showing, a lot of meeting people. And I end my days probably at 11 p.m. after talking to clients after the showing, because the real work starts when you you're not showing the property or showcasing all the amenities or everything that you find sexy and you find attractive. It's the anticipation of expectations, is that managing the relationships, is that understanding the family needs, because sometimes they come with one client, but in groups, and they want to have their space and be listened, all of them. So there's no 2 days alike. There's a lot of pushing, listening, and it's fascinating because I'm able to meet people from every industry. Everybody needs a home from everywhere in the world, and that has given me a very good perspective of the market, of the cultures, of how you deal with relationships and personal topics like financial and home. And who doesn't love real estate? Everyone. I'm sure that everyone here has been interested in investing, or at one point, thought about real estate as a career, and that's an amazing career, and has given me a great opportunity to not only tap into this market, but in many industries that I am happy to learn today.
That's amazing, thank you. And you've gotten to this point in your career, this really successful point, congratulations. But in this process, would you be willing to share any challenges that you may have faced, and what did you have to do to overcome them?
Okay, well, when I had my first child, I was pregnant, and I had a pushback from my company because I was pregnant, and I had to prove myself and work harder. And after having my first child, I closed the biggest deal in the whole company in COVID, and was able to prove to not only the company and the agents and everything that we were able to do something fascinating with all the perspective and the angles that my clients were able to give me. That was a very big challenge. COVID was certainly another big challenge that taught us how to communicate, and I was showing and selling things by video. And my biggest deal in my whole life, I did it and closed it by WhatsApp. So it was signed and closed the same day. It was a $48 million transaction, and everything was, from the point of trust. My client trusted me. They wanted me to help them find the right property, and that was a great challenge and responsibility.
And was there any moment that you had to risk a little bit of your own personal life to kind of adhere to whatever your client was asking for?
Yeah. I think that I've never had weekends off in my life. It's been you really have to love what you do and be passionate and obsessed about it to think that you're not sacrificing. I thought my weekends and my clients and my hard work, where I was able to, while my friends were socializing, I was really meeting clients. I had to be up early in the morning, Saturday, Sunday, being able to show them, to be able to maximize their time and expectations, and teach them about the process when they had a limited amount of time. So, it's been a great opportunity to try harder and to be able to push to get all these people that are not understanding the system, to handhold them and to teach them everything that I had to learn.
That's
Can I interrupt?
Yes.
Because I I've known Maria for a while, and you're being humble. You have to say, there's two things that you need to tell us about. One is the big-ass developers that you worked with in New York, and tell us about them and how they mentored you. But more importantly, you had a meeting on Christmas Day?
Oh yeah. I had one of my biggest clients that today, and he doesn't remember, he wanted me to show him our properties on Christmas Day. So I was with my family in Colombia, and I flew from there to New York to meet him, and I was very excited, and he stood me up. So I flew on Christmas Day. He did not remember me. He did not remember the appointment. And I had to let that go. A couple of years later, he came back. He didn't remember he stood me up. But I have him now as one of his biggest clients right now. And it was, hard to take, hard to do, hard to be challenged again, to do the same thing again, and to actually get that appointment. But, it happened. And I've been challenged like that so many times that had led me to get big clients, and they're watching.
That's maybe the toughest thing I've heard. I think shifting a little to the entrepreneurial side.
Was it worth it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In the end, it worked out.
Did you ever, once you re-signed a client, did you ever told him, remind him of the time you set you up, or?
Why would I? I was going to put him in the spot, and sometimes they just, the client is always right, even when they're not. And it's my job to show them how they're not by, I have a 5-day rule when I show properties to clients. And the first 3 days are showing them properties that they think they can buy, that they were told for family friends that they bought there, that they should see it there. And then when they let them teach me what they want to see and they want to know, and I will, 2 days, the last 24 hours, I will gather all the information that they've given me and the closeness of the relationship that I have built in that time frame. And I show them exactly what they need and what they're looking for. And that takes a lot of time and listening and handful, but it's not fun, but it's listening. It's people telling you a lot of information that we sometimes don't listen or pay attention.
How do you foster that trust in such a short span of time? You said 3 days.
Well, I've been doing this for 18 years. So I started very young, and I moved younger than I am. So I've had to educate myself a lot, be really, really out there. If I didn't have clients, I would go to every building to just see it, to get inspired, to go there, to walk. If I'm not busy, I would get myself busy. And I would just try to hustle, by them understanding how well educated about everything I was, and how I knew everything that I was telling them. And I'm a salesperson, they would always confirm afterwards. But they saw that I wanted to do it. I was hungry. I was really putting my heart and soul on it. And everybody that knows me in New York, from the doormans to the developers, they know that I don't take no for an answer. That I will look for a way. That they see me running around trying to get that appointment, and they say no, I will go and ask the porter, and the other porter, and I will try to push, because there's always a way. So I think that my clients have seen that in me, that I've worked hard. Like I said, when I was very young, I took no weekends off, which was of my choice, because I wanted to get this done. I wanted to make a difference. I just didn't want to be a broker. I wanted to be an advisor to help every aspect of the property and the lifestyle of a family that, we all own houses. And the main and the common denominator and the main families in the world and the individuals are, we want to own our homes. And And who do we go for that? Brokers, they commission, yes, we have. There's that. But there's also other parts of it, and you know, relationships that you built over the years that have a lot of muscle in terms of the trust. Because I not only cater to their parents, but their uncles, but their cousins, but everybody that have, you know, quietly come to me and spend time with me in New York. And by that, it's not only looking at properties, it's looking at, you know, they need to frame a piece of art. They need to get a dog walker. You know, experience doesn't get improvised. And I think they're walking, meeting people, getting all this, studying, not getting tired. Like it's, I don't make deals all week, but I have the motivation because it inspires me to anticipate and to understand what we people are looking.
Maria, how are you? I have a question for you that sparks great interest in me. I first had it when Sonia came here 2 years ago to talk. It's for both for you now. How do you handle societal expectations, being a woman, a Latin American woman and a mother, which expectations in society may have had a different role for your career or path for your career-wise? How do you handle that in your choices, in your decision-making, making sacrifices towards building the great success you have?
I don't know. Day by day. It's you know, you need to have a motivation. You need to have great mentors. I have great mentors. I have people that have taught me a lot, that have given me a lot of great tips. I'm obsessed with New York. I'm obsessed with servicing people and anticipating their needs and I love to get a deal done. The rush that being able to understand the client and being able to get what they want and for them to get the price they want. And then afterwards, or actually when I sell them the apartment and tell them this is going to work like this, I have to deliver. That's the main part of my job, not selling it. That's easy. What comes after is what has keeping me in the business, which is always looking for the way, always showing up, having great mentors. I wrote this down, sorry. I have 7 principles that I need to discuss with you guys. Build great teams. You know, I think working with people that have the same alignment and values and want to work and are as crazy as you are and obsessed to get something done is essential to getting great things on. Know your innate strength. You know, we're not good for everything. I have sometimes clients that I cannot deal with, and I have other agents in my team that are better suited for them. And that's okay. Always be transparent, even managing expectations. Sometimes, you know, people want, and more in my business, they want to sell, and for selling, they just, you know, just say whatever they want to sell. And transparency is important. It's hard, but it gives you so much trust. And that has been one of I believe, the success of my career, that I've been always very transparent, even when they don't want to hear it. Always show up. You know, Christmas Day, any day. I told Sonia and anecdote. I was having my second child, and a developer called me, and I almost picked him up. And I was like, "You're crazy." It was like the showing up is so important. You're compromising your own self, you know, to make it happen, not to show to anyone else. But like to become convinced that you're so passionate that you're gonna do whatever it takes. Sometimes it works. Sometimes, you know, they stood you out in the lobby, but things get back it's worth it. It's completely worth it. Take risks. Take risks. It's important, you know. If everybody's comfortable where they are and they don't find more things or more solutions or how to innovate or how to bring more service to your clients, you know, they rather go with somebody else. Recognize and defend your self-worth. You know, people wanna need you to believe that no, you're too expensive or this or that, and you know, experience and education and the trajectory and everything else that you wanna that make you vibrate. It's meaningful, you know. So it's important for you to convince about yourself about that, and it's a big part of the success.
On Christmas Day, or did that client ever do any was he or she ever respectful or accountable or any apology, or was there any transparency from
Zero.
them? Okay.
Zero. He doesn't believe. I do think he remembers, but he feels so ashamed that he doesn't want to bring it up, and it's okay. It's okay. I don't mind. You know, that's also client management, and there's personalities, and there's so many nice, not so nice, some different situations that at the end of the day it's not personal. I want to get the job done. I want to be transparent. I'm sure that he might remember, and he would not stood me up again, I hope. But yes.
In Hive specifically, you know, you have these values that really resonate with you and that you try to push with your own career, but you're a team of 5, if I'm correct, and what is it that you look for in the people that you work with? Is it someone that is completely compatible with you, or is it someone that can make up for the spots that maybe you don't really work well in?
I think that it is important to have aligned values, no matter no matter where you are, who you work with. It's very important to be able to be passionate about what you do. I need to have, and I want to have people that are happy to come to work, that they like me, that they want to work with me, and they want to work with the good stress of what the job brings. So that is essential. I look for motivation, for hunger. If you're not hungry, you're gonna be just 9 to 5. That's not what I look. You have to give more. You want to give more. I'm excited about every day waking up for my coffee or everything. You know, it's a self-motivation and energy that is special that not everybody has. That's why we have different positions and jobs, and everybody decides. In Hive Pro, mainly, it's been curious how the team has come together. There's a team of 5 women. All of them are from Latin parents born in the U.S. So culturally, they love the fact that they need to take care of the house, the people, connecting, serving, and that's a common denominator that I need to have in the team member that wants to work with me, and it's the passion and stubborn, maybe, to be able to look for ways and to look for ways of getting things done.
And do you have any maybe aspirations to build Hive into something more? How would you even approach that? Or is this, the niche that you're happy to be in?
Hive is a very special company because it works backwards. It's not only a service that we give. It's basically what do you need and how can we help you and how can we tailor our service to you. We have 86 clients, and those 86 clients own multiple units, multiple apartments in New York and Miami. So every person has a way of working, and my job is to basically tailor that service to their needs. So it's very different, one client from another, but it is a very cultural way, and it's how we like how we want to handle home. Home is very personal. So it works different from any other investments or a business, because you're dealing with a real estate asset that you have an emotional tie, and that creates different feelings. So there are main services that are mainly to keep the properties, but all my clients become family, become friends, and they're always trying to look for more. So every time a client comes, even if they don't have an apartment that I manage in New York, hey Maria, where can I go to have lunch? Where can you help me out with this? And they, it's an ongoing service that even they're not have an apartment with me, or they're not buying a new property. It's just something that becomes something natural, organic, that have maybe differentiate from other companies and real and property management companies that are only, I do this, I pay this, I'm not gonna be flexible with this. I'm very flexible because I understand the flexibility that clients and people that don't are here need. Also, when I tell you when my day starts or ends, I have clients that call me Sunday at 11 p.m. That's when they're not busy. They can talk about their extra businesses. So I have to be there, and that's when I have to show up. And that's been the main thing, showing up always and being available for my clients always. When my kids are screaming, when I have to lock myself in the bathroom to guard on the screams. I have, and my clients understand right now, And it was very hard for me when I was having my children to explain them that it was going to be okay. I was not going to I was not going to become a mother and just, forget about everything. For me, it's my commitment to my work and my clients. It's very important, and it's been challenging becoming a mother and trying to do everything. But I'm there, day by day, working and learning.
Hi Maria, so thank you again for your time. Post-grad, I'm going to be in New York, so I was just wondering, for 20 plus years, or you said you've been in New York, how have you seen the city change in all those years? And maybe where is it trending specifically? I'm curious in real estate, there's all these news of maybe like tax reasons, like a lot of growth in Miami, a lot of growth in Austin. How do you see the future in New York?
Well, we have a new mayor, so that's been very challenging, and there's a lot of information, uncertainty. I think the city's it's in a very good moment, considering we had COVID, we had a lot of very important things that in a way affected New York. I think that the taxes and everything, it's a constant change, and you cannot really do anything to avoid that or to. But the city itself is trying, and us, the real estate professionals, are trying to manage that in a way that doesn't affect the investors and the city as much. That happened once, a few years ago, and we were able to stop it. Doing a few activities together that can stop the tax bills and new things that they're proposing. So it's very soon to tell. Nothing has been yet set in stone. Everything is being proposed because the mayor needs money too. And it's, expectation that it can happen, and it will affect tremendously a lot of investors. But listen, the world is constantly changing. These things are all possibilities, and hopefully this doesn't affect us. I think the real estate in New York it's at a very good moment right now. We had, I think 2 years ago, us acceleration in the market. Interest rates are very high, very high. Right now, we've seen a few reductions and people are getting more open to buy. Again, rents are rocket high, extremely high. So it's very challenging for people to continue paying rents versus owning. And there are more possibilities right now. I see more young people buying. I see more products that are a lot more aligned with young people and young families. And new areas in the city. There's Two Bridges, which is downtown, like in the middle of Fidei and Chinatown. Two Bridges is a very cool, edgy kind of area now that is being very local and top-of-nom restaurant tours and local people that, New York has a very special way to behave. And it's not the coolest neighborhood or the most prettiest neighborhood. It's what, the trend is, where the art is, where, fashions. And it's interesting how right now all the east side is activating in a very interesting way and gaining value like you never thought.
Maria, being a successful agent yourself and dealing with successful people across different industries, I wonder if there's a habit that you have realized that people across these cultures of industries share, like this high net-worth individuals share, and what specific signs do you look for when building a new relationship with a client to tailor your service specifically to what their needs are?
I think that, the most powerful thing is listening and connecting. Like I don't believe in just talking on the phone and cold calling or I believe in coming to your office or to your house and listening to what you have to say and meeting you, understanding your needs, connecting with you in a way that you can relate with me and I can help you and feel a connection where you can let me in. You can let me in by telling me more. And that's only when you spend time with your clients. The way I get trust from my clients is because I spend 5 intense days from 9 to 7 p.m. looking at properties. 5 days intensively or 3 days intensively where I have to understand their financial position, their family, their background, their lifestyle, so I can gather all the information and give them the best advice. So I think that listening is a very big part of it that allows me to connect. And when I connect, and we start kind of aligning on thoughts, and the person starts understanding that I'm listening, that I am following, that I'm mentioning the things that they're telling me. That's when the click starts, and when that clicks happen, it never goes away. Well, I have to really screw up, but no, it's a connection that lasts because that trust is there, and I've never done a lot of marketing in my career ever. Everything that I've done in Hive or in my personal relationship or my professional relationship, it's been through referral and people telling their cousin, their brothers, hey, I have Maria here. And the fact that I'm Latin in New York and I speak their language, it's an additional connection, another layer. The fact that I don't live there, but I'm here and I'm always available for them to come here. And it's a cultural, connection. That is something that clicks and that gives me a lot of power to be able to become closer and to have the information for them to trust me.
I was going to ask about, real estate is famously one of the most cyclical sectors there is. First thing that people stop buying when they don't have disposable income in real estate, it depends a lot on the rates of the market right now. So my question to you was, how did you and your team and your firm handle, those downturns, those phases where sales drop in real estate? And, how
thought of being there when things get rough. I get clients, all of my clients told me, what's gonna happen? Is it like, talk to them, listen to them. People need to be heard about what they're being stressed about. And educate them in a way and manage expectations in a way that you're not lying to them. Because you cannot just, there's so much information right now. And nowadays, a buyer can reach out and have access to a lot of our tools. So it's about, handling expectations, approaching the crisis or approaching the situation in a way that not only you are telling them exactly what happened, explaining them, but providing possible solutions. Every time I have to give a bad news to a client, before that, I explore every single solution I can provide to them too. So I can give them a bad news with a good news and alternative. And that not also tells them that I'm trying my best, but I'm worried. I have skin in the game. For me, it stressed me out when I don't rent an apartment and it's not my income that is not coming. It's my client, but I'm that compromised and it stressed me out. And they're not calling me. I'm calling them to give them extra information, and they know that I'm nervous about that because I care. And it's something that, I become better with time and experience and age. But it's a constant education and practice, because there's going to be so many changes. And everybody wants to own their home. And currencies and taxes and all these things, But being always transparent, managing expectations, looking at all the possible creative solutions. That's what I do.
It's really interesting that you mentioned how clients sometimes don't say what they mean, and this is true in investing as well. And I want to ask what you think about, or how you approach separating what somebody says and what they actually mean. I know you mentioned listening, but is there anything specific that you pay close attention to?
Body language.
And also, I want to ask if you could exemplify that with an anecdote with your client, where maybe they said something and
Yes. For example, right now, I'm having such a hard time dealing with a Chinese client. They have no body language. I cannot read them, I cannot even understand any clue what they have to say. Anything. I'm like kind of, when I see like a little smile, I'm like, okay, it's something, but it's so hard. So hard, but body language is such a big part of it. Your eyes, people like that. When somebody likes something, you can see it. They cannot control it. It's something that just happened. And that's why I always try to bring clients, even when I start showing them properties, I don't understand what they like. And I don't know if they're truly telling me what they want or what they like. They're dreaming of what everybody wants to have or what they want, So for me to meet that person and look at their faces when they're looking at a property, or immediately when they walk in and they go exactly to one point, that's telling me something. So I really pay attention to the body language, to their actions, to what they ask me first, and that creates an ability to read people. And I've done this for 18 years, so it's something that it's hard sometimes to people, some people, especially Chinese, because it's hard to read. But everybody else, it's easier, and I've created somehow rules when it comes to demographics. I know exactly when a specific client from a specific place approaches and how to get excited, or how do I have to approach the proposal, or how to, it's interesting, it's fascinating.
I think maybe one.
Can I?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just that I thought your presentation was very interesting when you you set the stage of what was happening in Venezuela and what brought you to the United States, to this land of opportunity and so forth. And there's a real parallel with Maria. Tell us about what was happening in Cali and what you were going through and your family that made you come to the United States, right?
So my father was a banker in Colombia, and at the moment we was in the 90s, 2000. And Cali was the Wild West, no? Cartel Medellín, Cartel de Cali, all these, it was hard to go out at night and being a teenager in that stressful situation. So I graduated school immediately, and I was sent to Miami to go to school because we really couldn't have a lot of security. My father was very involved in the operations of the bank, and he was not the person who had the money, but he had the access to the money. So the kidnapping in that moment of times were very popular. So they will have massive kidnaps, a very big important family kidnaps, and my father was dealing with all of that. So because of that reason, we have to leave Colombia and Cali. And we got to Miami, where my mother was already in real estate. I was, my head and my soul was in food and hospitality and that. And we were separated as a family for a couple of years. My mother and my father divorced. I stayed in Miami. Then I went back to Colombia, had a good taste of culinary industry, and then I went back to New York. And all of these things, and the feeling of survival, and the difficult situation of being able to have to deal with information, financial information, social security, all of this culture and knowledge really gave me right now what I have to understand the cultures and to be able to deal with the demographic that are my buyers now. I would go to Venezuela when we couldn't even get our phones out. I would go there, visit people literally in their homes, sell them, and come back with 12 contracts to the US. But I went to them. I went to sit with them, to understand them. I knew exactly what was happening, what was going on, and that's something that you can't get if you haven't lived it. So understanding that perspective and being a kind of part of it gives you the knowledge to be able to handle it and deal with demographic and people that have done the same. It's very different in every place.
I guess my question is, you obviously, like you mentioned, you work weekends, you work till 11 p.m. at night, like you've been doing this for a couple of decades, and you're still really young, but you have an amazing track record. I'm curious in terms of how you approach maybe the next steps of your career, like what aspirations do you have, and yeah, like what are your hopes, your dreams in terms of what you want to do just in the future?
I wanted to continue the line of being able to create a safe space, a safe place for investors, LATAM in general, to be able to have a friendly, familiar way to know how to manage their real estate assets, to be able to organize their inheritance, their family, work with family offices. That's my next step. Being able to understand the asset not only as the real estate, but as the family, as what is the direction, what are we going to do for it? It's like planning, because it gives you much more fascination and drive, and it really inspires me to be able to help them with what they have, with the knowledge that I've already gathered throughout my years, to help them do more. So that's my next step, to become a little bit more educated in what I can do for them, in what they own already, in how they can improve their management of their assets to improve their return. And I've done it so many years already that any property in New York, in Miami, in Florida, in Long Island as well, I already have a system. I have a system already, and I built something that is not a software. It's people behind the phones, people like making sure that you maximize your time in New York, in somewhere that you are not familiar with, that you don't have the hookups, that you don't have the person who gets, clean the house, the nanny. How can I make your life and your experience better in a place that you're not familiar with, but I am? So I'm going to shorten that, and I want to maximize what you have already, because we all love New York. No, most of you don't want to live there once, or Miami. I think we'll own or being there, or families. But New York is an aspirational place that everyone wants to have a piece of it. So it's an educational approach, and I see it more as a planning, not as a one-time transaction situation. That's what I'm heading.
If there's no more questions, last one.
I'm curious about how you manage your time between working in Corcoran and also being a co-founder in Hive. Like, what are the trade-offs of that?
Depending on the day and the size of the fire. So sometimes I just have a lot of problems in Hive because it's more people management. I have two sides of the story. I have the owner, the ones who have their rent without any repairs and nothing touched, and I have the tenant that wants the owner to pay for everything. So I have to be the middle person, and it's day by day. Some days it's easier than others. Sometimes I have two clients the same day and I cannot divide them, and I have to struggle on how to do that. And that's when having a great team comes in place. I have a great team that's an extension of me, and I can feel comfortable sending one of my girls and picking up the phone and telling my client, hey, I cannot do this because I'm doing this and this and that. And that's something that I've learned recently. Before I would stress out and have 2 ulcers and not be able to do none of the clients. But now I've grown a little, and I've been able to put in practice the transparency and the honesty, that it's better that way, and has given me to get stronger bonds and more trust in the people that I work with. I'm a human.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Maria. We could give her